I hope you're ready. Because I certainly am. The Logan's not, apparently. But hey, everybody, welcome back to... Oh, my God. Welcome back to another
Don't even worry about it.
Oh, my...
Smooth.
Hey, Connor's the chillest. No one can beat this man's swagger and pure determination to remain calm in all situations. Anyway, welcome, everybody, once again to the tavern. Well...
Dude, just roll with it. I'm gonna be a lot today. Welcome to the tavern. Everybody.
I'm brandishing the 9. Hold on.
Go for it. Yeah.
No, tonight we're gonna be just chatting. Connor's gonna be our host tonight. He's got a lineup of questions that we're gonna kind of just blow through, or not. We're probably gonna maybe do 3, and then that'll be an hour and a half, and we'll have to call it good. But yeah, Connor's got a spreadsheet of questions to ask the group.
Oh.
And
you wish it was a spreadsheet of questions.
It's actually just a napkin.
So
I was gonna say, wait. It's either a napkin, a sticky note, or on his hand. That's it.
Just a Mars bar, just written in Sharpie.
Yeah, or like a candy bar, just something. But yeah, we're just chilling, hanging, waiting. Logan's here, but not really. So we're just kind of hanging out. But
I'm excited for him to come back and find out that he is actually live right now.
Well, at least his camera's
not on. That's what I'm excited for. Yeah.
Well, his camera's on, but at least he's blackened out. That way he's not butt booty naked twerking on stream.
Which he normally does when he
yeah.
makes the call.
Well, usually the 10-minute, or usually the 5 to 10-minute warm-up is just him strip teasing us, and then we have to tell him to put his clothes back on.
Speaking of, we're about to launch a Patreon. No.
Jokes on you guys. My headset's been disconnecting and reconnecting as I've been doing my thing.
Jokes on you. You're butt booty naked and live on stream.
Well, I'm excited to hear that.
Closed, but not up.
That's right. Well, while we're getting the camera going, the kind of the thought was I had a lot of like different questions I wanted to ask that are not really connected to a lot of our bigger topics, but are absolutely not big enough topics to, be a whole video themselves. So I kind of want to just go through, kind of throw these questions, get my friends' thoughts on them. So,
oh yeah, and you guys in the chat as well. If you have any questions or have any thoughts, feel free to drop it in.
Or don't. That's fine too.
Or don't. Keep your cards close to your chest if you feel like it.
Yeah. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
It's pretty easy breezy, lemon squeezy, beautiful cover girl up in this.
I feel the need to wait for Logan to be.
Ask the first fucking question before we devolve anymore.
No, devolving's the point. No, the big question I really want to start with is actually kind of what got this going. Is I did see kind of like an online discussion about this, and it's kind of like where you really stand when it comes to like, well, for NPCs, living, breathing in your world. I think we all do that, but when it comes to like how much you lead into NPCs, trusted NPCs eventually betraying the party, like as a narrative choice, as a choice in the game, like where is your comfort level, or I guess where have you used that as a DM that either felt good or maybe like you regretted doing it? Just because for me, I've hit both sides where I felt like that worked great, and other times where like I felt kind of bad,
Yeah. Honestly, let's see. I'm trying to think back. I haven't really incorporated a lot of betrayal in my games. I'm trying to think.
You should try it. It works wonders. Your party never goes to NPC again.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of going back to the mimic conversation. I feel like, once you do it, then people are just like, I don't know about this. But I think it's one of those things where I think betrayal, it can be very complex. And so I just haven't really thought about it, or haven't like fleshed out a story enough to the points of like betrayal or having a character work its way back. I did have a character. It's not like a betrayal necessarily, but I had a character. He was like, a little bit of backstory that only I really knew. No one else would have figured it out, or was like filled in during the arc or the game. But I had an individual who had like a lord of a keep send people into this place to go ahead and get them to retrieve some artifacts for him, but they already knew he was kind of a douche. But then like he sent them on their way because they did what they wanted to do, and then like way later in the game, they had to go back to his keep to smoke his ass so they can use his portal to go to Shadowfell or whatever. So that's like the closest I think I've gotten to betrayal. I'm trying to really think, but I think that's literally the closest I've gotten.
I think there's something to be said for having a betrayal based off like the soft, fluffy party mascot betraying you. There's that. There's also the times you're betrayed by liar McStabs-and-Back.
Yeah, literally.
Sometimes the party will trust him too, and like they're like he looks sketchy, but they're not really doing anything about it. And then when he's like, "Ha ha," everyone's like, "Ah, fuck." All right, well, they'll still like willingly walk into the trap.
The one character that they're like, we can change him, and he's like, no, I'm gonna actually assassinate all of you. No, we got you, buddy. Hey, he's always a prankster, man. Always talking about killing us, and then you realize he's actually doing it. So,
yeah,
but
sometimes there's a fucking dupa in your squire, man.
a dupe, yeah, actually get fucked though. Those motherfuckers can catch these hands. Gray, catch these hands, bro.
Yeah, Gray, wherever. Clip this, Gray. You did great work, buddy. I appreciate
the betrayal. Hey, I wish I would have. I almost shot him down in one turn. I'm just sad that I could not finish the fight.
Before, I do want to bring this question to Logan, but just to explain that, one betrayal I did, which
my frog came today.
That is,
dude, hell yeah,
wonderful. We get a frog cam.
Yeah, see, let's keep adding.
Actually, there's actually so much room above you. You can just hang him from the ceiling, like suspended.
Oh, it's true.
Perfect.
No, get him one of those floating shelves and then just like set him on the floating shelf.
I do want to say, while the frog's on camera, it hasn't gone blurry yet.
Hey, word.
But I had one betrayal that happened, which actually became. I had people I intended to betray the party, and then two people on the same day showed up and said, "Hey, can I play? Can I tap into your world?" I'm like, if you're really chill, absolutely.
A lot of people are gonna have to be real chill real quick.
Yeah, two people played multiple sessions knowing they were eventually going to betray the party. But that is a lot of like, don't just drop that on people. Like, have that conversation. Like, but it was a very fun moment in the game for me.
So you already had them planning on being. Like, I wouldn't say them necessarily, but you already had some sort of betrayal like planned, and then the players joined, and then you just basically embedded them into that plan. Was that kind of how it transpired?
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be backstabbing during what ended up being a train heist. During the heist, I think it's always more interesting when a heist goes wrong from the inside. So there's always going to be some element of,
Gotcha.
Which actually is a fun thing to talk about when it comes to players. Fucking up it is working very well.
Yeah,
It's your lucky charm right now.
I love it.
Betraying people during the heist, I would say one thing I wouldn't do again is have a PC betray the party. Not because we all had a good time with it. Everybody
I don't know. He might just
This is my version of it.
Might just stay.
This is my cute little plushie.
It's a fucking. That's a human head, by the way.
I found it in Ecuador.
Yeah, I
don't sleep well anymore.
Yeah, you have like a ridge. Oh dang. Yeah, I don't have like. You have like a groove.
I've stuck his little hands are hooked in there, so you're just chilling on my head, man. It works.
It does.
The camera's not like panning out to my ceiling. Instead,
I think it's working because you're moving less, so your camera's like, okay, we can focus.
Yeah. I think it's also a little larger. Like he is more firmly in the target area of the camera. Could be part of it too. I'm not a.
I totally need to
guy.
adjust my camera, but I happened to play. God. 16 hours of Baldur's Gate in 2 days, so I just
that's nothing wrong with that. We support that.
Boy, yeah, sure.
Well, I will say, for you, Logan, just jumping over to you here with your adorable plush. Where are you on Betrayal, my friend?
I think they host a good thing in like games. Like I think if you do it too much, then they lose their effect. But I think like having like NPCs, especially ones that they crutch on for like a large part of like the arc or something like that, have being an NPC that they know they can kind of trust but they can't trust, and then they end up getting betrayed is good. Like it adds a nice effect to the story. I honestly, the entire Frost trial, I thought Axoff was going to betray us at any point.
Oh yeah.
I never trusted him.
Oh god.
Well, I guess Axoff, in a way, I think that Axoff, now that you mentioned it, is probably the closest I got to a betrayal, only in the sense of like, that was probably the most I've had an NPC lie to a group.
Like
consistently, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there are grades to betrayal, and depending on the situation, withholding information, absolutely betrayal. Other times, shooting a guy in the head isn't necessarily betrayal. Like you gotta really argue that one. But
were they friends first? No. Was it betrayal? It's a gray area.
Well, I mean, the only way I could see that happening is like I had to like, rain blows on you to keep my cover for whatever. At that point, you better be doing a fucking elaborate spy plot. It better be espionage.
Yeah, no, I think it's like doing it correctly, it's hard to, if you do it to the point where there's an NPC that everyone loves and you're just like, I'm gonna make them evil and there's no reason for them to be evil, then that sucks. But if there's a
doing
good
it as
reason,
an afterthought it's very tempting. I will say, I think all of us as DMs have things like where something existed in your game and partway through it you go, this has been true the whole time, but if I changed it here, the players might not notice because it wasn't like an announced thing. And that very rarely, like, it can be okay in small doses, but when it comes to like the, again, like the party's mascot, they adopted a fucking goblin, and then they're like, maybe now he's like the whole time he's been like an agent of Tiamat for some fucking reason.
He's
like
been hell incarnate.
Yeah, like I don't like that. I think it's good to introduce a player or a character that is like, this guy's going to betray them eventually. And then you see where that kind of plays out in the game. Or, like you kind of see how that goes. Because you can start them off as they're going to betray the party, and then partway through, that's not true to the character anymore. It's like, all right, now he's just a chill guy. That's fine.
I had in one home game. Oh, you can go, Jaden.
Oh, I just wanted to really emphasize the fact, is that you do need to do it correctly, because literally just betraying for betrayal's sense and just to have that, like, fuck you, like, kind of going back just to, like, what our last episode, the dungeons and stuff, and talking about, making sure that, like, people are understanding kind of certain things, or, is important. And I think if it's literally, or like, when you're talking about traps, and it's just kind of like, oh, this trap is literally just a fuck you, gotcha, that can always feel pretty bad. And I just want to emphasize, I do think a character betrayal will be a better kind of turnout if you do have that predetermined kind of role for them, where it's like, now obviously if things organically come about, or maybe something happens in the world and like maybe they get taken off to something and then they start to follow someone else, or something happens and that can change them. But I do think that, like, to kind of have an idea ahead of time, or just in general, it doesn't have to be like hey, this character's gonna be like is gonna betray the party, but have like an immediate like mood to the party, and just have that be kind of a pendulum that swings, and as it fluctuates, kind of break it down from there. I do think, like you're saying, just to have a betrayal for betrayal sense, because like, oh, you guys fucked up, man. That dude that you loved and was your best friend and basically like, was there for the birth of your child and married you and your best friend, or whatever it is, like, yeah, that person, all of a sudden hates you. Now it's like,
Yeah, I will say, for the pre-planned betrayal and part of like how it goes in, let the players figure it out. Like, don't be so committed to have that haha moment that the players can't like leave breadcrumbs.
Like stuff it out, yeah.
That's always let them be able to figure it out, because your players are smart adventurers, or maybe they're not fucking smart, but they want to live. But while I'm stalking them, their first instance isn't going to be like, this guy seems trustworthy. They're going to be like, fucking, what? And it also makes it better that if you do have that reveal moment of, like, you got to be, all these things might start piecing together for the players. It's like, that's why we found the amulet in his room that said, I'm going to kill the party Wednesday at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's what we found. We found the voicemail to the BBEG saying, yeah, I'm going to smoke these fuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and then with like betrayals that form naturally, I had a blacksmith that was working with my players a bunch of the time, but they kept giving him cursed items. So I eventually got some. They're like, we don't want to hold on to these anymore, and so eventually they gave him so many cursed items that he just went insane. Like,
that's
I was like,
crazy.
And it wasn't like I was like, oh, he's insane now. Like, slowly over time, every time they'd interact with him, he'd start interacting a little more weird and a little more weird. And I was like, bro, y'all have shown up like 12 cursed magical items to this dude. If you give him any more, he's gonna go insane, man.
That's hilarious, though.
I like that, and that's also a really good point. Betrayal, like, if you think about like natural, human emotion, it doesn't always have to be like a convoluted plot. It could be like you as your party. I don't know if you guys ever played with D&D players is they're assholes, and they make enemies very naturally. And so it could have been a friend, and the party did. They zigged when they should have zagged, and they were dicks about it. Yeah. And that's a very natural way to like have somebody who was their friend kind of just take over the other side. The betrayal does not always have to be an alley ambush with knives. The betrayal could be, somebody who promised them an inn to the castle, instead on your entry to the castle arranged to have you arrested.
Yeah.
Like betrayal can go a lot of ways.
Or like Scar with Simba, bro. He just ends his life when he's supposed to help a homie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's even better. That's more fun.
Yeah, I think
an opening that is there for them to like, they had a motive, or even if they don't like have a motive, they're just like Scar with Simba, like you were saying, he was like, man, I want to be king, and there just happened to be that opening.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and going off of that as well, like don't I would say like to be careful of also predetermining the betrayal, like you guys have kind of mentioned, where it's like, oh, he's gonna betray the party at this point, because there could be a million and one different things that could arise or that could happen, and and I think that is like my favorite part about DMing is just the fact that there are things that happen that the players choose to do that make 1000% more sense than what I was doing, or it opens a door that I was not expecting for me to fill in a piece that I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing with this, but boom, here we go, and let's go ahead and do it. Like, full disclosure, the sword that Zahir got in the Valenvor ruins, like that was the only magical item. But then Todd was like, "Yo, is that armor magical? I kind of want to be a paladin, low key." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So the armor was so then I literally So then I was like, "Oh," and like it's one of those things too where like it makes sense. This angelic like warrior could very well have more than just a sword. It could also have armor, and like just like it's just things that make sense. It's grounded still, but it's just cool how like, oh, I didn't think about that, but let's go ahead and open the door because the players are now they're bringing me to this point. So I think that's a big thing. Just kind of have the betrayal in mind, but keep it loose. And I think that's a lot of like just in a lot of DMing things, like having notes, but you don't always have to do so much DM prep where things are super rigid. I find the best is you just kind of like vague bullet points or vague certain things, and you just kind of let the story go.
Yeah, no, because I think I was talking with you. I must have been talking with you, Jerry. But I'm like, I had like really good things like for our home game Axum run. I have really good moments and things that I'm super excited for, and in my head they're gonna go this way, and it's gonna be so fucking cool, and there's gonna be this going on, and the players are gonna go fuck, and I'm holding on to that happy thought I have because it's never gonna fucking happen that way, and that's okay. I have that because anytime I've tried for those things, I try for it, and then it's like DMing is kind of just the statement: no plan survives first contact with the enemy. The enemy's the players, and so they're always gonna do something different, and that makes better moments more fun for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, just whatever you have planned, just keep it loose, and like make it make sense. Keep the DM, make your world make sense, but. Actually, it does kind of tie into the next thing I want to go into.
Hell yeah.
Just anything else, because part of it, because we were just talking about like sometimes over the story, that's when a betrayal kind of starts developing. Spoilers for Red Dead Redemption 2, kind of.
Oh boy, hold on. Hey, hold on.
But this ties into something. But like one of my favorite things about the story is like a part of discussion people have is this one character Micah, which we all hate and he fucking sucks. It's trying to determine at what point in the story did he flip to the feds. It's like a fun point to try to figure out like when in the story did he start like becoming an informant for the Pinkertons. And that really goes to my other question is like, what things have you guys like realized over your DMing have you borrowed from video games or other forms of media, like even movies and shows? Because I know, especially when I'm like, if I'm playing a game like Jedi Survivor, or like if I get really into like Cyberpunk, especially, both of those obviously very quickly translate over to action. But like there's sometimes I'll just like be doing a thing, either a combat mechanic or a story beat happens, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I want that in my game, and I'm gonna boil it down for parts, and I'm gonna plug it in. So if you guys just, if you guys can remember or recognize things like that have happened with you.
For sure, 100%. I can't like pull specifically, but I definitely have magical items or enemies just like off of like character concepts I find there's a set of knights in a show I was watching, and they were like fucking like super tight knights, and they were just like a very like elite order. And so I was like, I'm just gonna take a couple of the beats that you guys have for these guys and modify them in with my world, because I love having like an elite order of warriors for a specific capital and stuff like that. And I grabbed them and I modified them as enemies, and they show up as reoccurring enemies where like if I need not like a big bad but a larger like mini boss kind of encounter, it's just elite knight, here you go.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
I've been running there.
What show was it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I watched it super long ago, and it
Right.
just like it became a part of my campaign way long ago, and so I was like,
Hell yeah.
oh yeah, dude.
I remember when I first wanted to run a campaign, and it was going to be loosely based off your home game, Jared. It was going to be like different part of the continent, however many odd years later. And we talked about like making it a fun game mechanic of the fact you gave Andrew a brokenly overpowered scythe.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, oh, it's a cursed fucking item from hell. He shouldn't have that. Then it's just like, oh, it'd be cool if there's a bunch of these pieces together and kind of tied into the main arc I wanted. Like, how am I gonna do that? And that's right when concept art of like the new Star Wars that Disney was gonna re-up came out, and there's all these cool concept arts for the Knights of Ren. And I'm like, oh, dude, so like the elite order, they got all these different weapon types and such, and like they're all kind of tied into this. That'd be like, I fucking ran with it. So when I watched those movies, I was infinitely disappointed.
He said, this
you can't
shit
even believe how much that fucking blew.
Yeah, those movies are ass.
It's a stance on Minimax 20. Those movies are ass.
Dog shit.
That's a corporate stance. But no, I just remember just little things like art. It was like, oh fuck yeah, making up all these abilities for him, and maybe he has this side of him, maybe this guy does. What if this guy was like an archer, but like he like had, we could, and then like the movie sucked.
And then you're like, well, good thing I want to make at least then you can take, some of the cool things that they created and use it, in an actual cool and not dog shit manner. Because
well, it's also one of those things, and I'm really susceptible to it, where I'm like, like level 15, we're starting at level 3, but level 15 is this fucking cool thing, and it never happened. That has not come up. We dropped that campaign, but
then you can always recycle content. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Inquisitors.
Great. Pinterest is a great spot for me, where I'll just be like scrolling through, and I see like there's just this squad of like normal troopers, but like not stormtroopers, but more mercenary looking characters, and I was running a sci-fi game, and I was just like, let me just make a whole entire guild of mercenaries based off this singular picture of mercenaries that looks like really cool. Or you and I talked about it a lot when starting Axum Run, like not even as a DM but as a player. A lot of my character designs came from edge runners.
Right, yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed edge runners, and so like I was like, I'd like to create a character in that semblance of world.
Yeah. No, that's a fun thing too. Like when you're doing character creation and you're just very open about like, hey, like as a DM, this is like kind of the themes I'm going off of. Like, based off that, the character I want comes off this type of media. Yeah, just be fucking open. There's like, nobody cares. We're having fun. Like, tell me like, I want to be like, kind of like for whatever reason, I really liked the fucking like 2012 Robin Hood movie. It's like, that's a bad choice. But let's kind of like know stylistically what you want at least. Yeah, we can go off that. Bad tactical choices and like weirdly no armor. Okay, let's fucking boil that down.
One of the things that I love more than anything, I think they're probably my favorite fantasy villain and just like creature are the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings.
God,
those are the coolest. By far, that is what I've ripped off more than anything ever in D&D. Is literally them. I've literally, in some form or fashion, had them in like 4 consecutive games. Yes.
I love the Nazgul.
The Nazgul, awesome. I think I ended up renaming them. I think that they're like the Death Riders of something or other, or the Dread Riders or something. I had like 3 of them, and they came from Shadowfell, and they were hunting the party or whatever because of XYZ, right? But the Ring Wraiths are so cool. I just love the like ominous, like dark cloak, just like like hunter, like just dude. You can't get better than that, man. I mean, at least for me, I just love that shit. It's so ominous, it's so creepy.
On that same note of Lord of the Rings, I love the way that they did Smaug. Not necessarily in the movie, although they did like very arrogant dragon was done very well. But The Hobbit is my absolute favorite book, and I've read it a bunch of times. And I love how like confident that Smaug is as a dragon, yet how focused he is still on like the horde and having gold. Like I feel like he's a very well written dragon in fantasy, and I definitely write my red dragon specifically like based off of how they did Smaug.
Hell yeah,
100% hands down. One of my favorite. Like I just think they did such a good job with that, because dragons in movies sometimes are just like angry for no reason to be angry, but I enjoyed the
depth.
Just super, the depth. He's very intelligent, and he knows he's intelligent, and he's very conceited about it too.
Bro, speaking of depth for dragons, bro, the Dungeons and Dragons movie, that fat fucking big ass fat shit, dude. I love that dude.
I love that dragon.
I love that.
I love the chalky boy in the Underdark, dude.
Dude.
Especially because it'll tie into something later, but I just always, like, when I see something like that, I'm like, how many calories are walking into his open fucking mouth? Like, how is he generating and keeping that mass? Is he just under an ocean where there's perpetual storms?
Dude,
is he just fucking, like, just taking something off the top of a Leviathan somewhere? Like, what is he doing?
Dude, I love that thing. Dude, I love that movie. Honestly, of all the
that movie was super. Like I was like, that movie felt very D&D without like getting bogged down by the actual like mechanics of D&D, and it was really fun too. We were watching it one night when we were drinking, and we were like, anytime someone could point out an actual D&D mechanic, we'd all take a drink to it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Like when someone's like, we're like unarmed fighter, or like tavern brawl feat, and everyone's like, yeah. That's awesome. The same thing for Vox Machina did a very good job of translating anime to D&D to D&D to anime.
True.
Without it, like I was like, I'm very impressed by this, and like that was a good job. Media.
That was relieving for me because I love D&D. I did not watch any of campaign anything from Critical Role. I'm a fan passively, but I also gotta do things. I can't watch a movie every week.
I only got through.
My bad. I should be able to.
I only got through campaign 1 because I was like 14, and then I only got through campaign 2 because I was deployed and like commuting. Like that's literally it.
Being able to say you've actually watched every single episode of campaign 1 and 2, I think you should get like an Xbox commendation on
Dude, thank you. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment. That's like collecting all the feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. Like that's pretty big.
But I would like to emphasize, no, they really didn't. And having watched campaign 1, there's a lot of things they cut out, which sucks because it's like the story was just so much more spread out and it was so more in depth. But they obviously had to take literally like 30 or 40 episodes, 4 hours each of live D&D into 10 episodes. So it's like, holy shit, how do you do that? I think they still did it flawlessly. I still think one of the coolest visual like representations from like mentally like watching something, you know, because I watched the episodes Critical Role like when they were playing live, and then to see it translated was with Percival and like the Shadow Demon and like them like fighting that shit was so good, man. To visually see it, I was like creaming, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I literally can't say anything else, bro. That shit was so like visually satisfying and just so like, yeah. It was good, bro.
I feel the same way with Grog when he finally like broke off. Yeah, what that was dude, that was followed immediately by a Percy or by a what's his name, Scale fucking heavy metal bar.
Yeah.
Love it to death,
dude.
My beloved.
Yeah, dude, that was so. I like the sunbeam off where touching the root. The Tree of Light's roots, and then fucking sunbeaming the
the vampires. Yeah,
dude, that was very, very nice.
We're fans of Vox Machina.
I would just like to emphasize, dude, the Killbox episode. I think it's titled Killbox too, when Grog goes absolutely like disgustingly ham and everything. Bro, that episode was also so good. And like, dude, there are very few times, like obviously like the combats can be intense when you're watching it live, and you know they can be like, oh, what's gonna happen. But that one was probably the most intense of all of campaign 1 and 2, I would say.
Damn.
Like because it was just like the 1v1 between Grog and his uncle, and then you're just like, oh shit, and the way it ended too, because pretty much that whole fight, I'd say, was pretty translated pretty well. Obviously, it was sped up in real time, but I would like to say though it was pretty brutal, because in the actual like live play, like they were fucked. Like they were fucked. The only way out was literally was basically what Grog did, was when he like got caught up in the crystal and they released him, and he just like cut Kevdak in half. Like that literally was like their only out, because that shit was getting so like scuffed. It was so good, so good.
I think
hey, everybody make your combats lethal.
Something that I didn't notice until someone was talking about it. The very last fight in the D&D movie is all done in 6-second intervals before anyone else takes their next action.
Really?
So each person takes an
No
action
shit.
within the 6-second intervals.
Dude, the D&D
so
movie.
God damn it.
Dude,
It's so good.
That's so well like played out and
so
like
good.
thought through of just like someone was like mentioning that they were doing a study on it, and they're like, yeah, so like we noticed that the last part of the movie they did in 6-second like intervals between actions for people, and the only like actions taken outside of that would be actual reactions.
That's sick, dude.
Dude,
I was so nervous watching that movie, because we live in a time where a lot of fucking movies suck ass, and a lot of like media just blows chunks consistently.
Shout out Halo for sucking ass.
Yeah, fuck Halo. Actual, that show, I haven't even watched it, but I've seen like 4 seconds of it, and I'm like, no. But that movie was surprisingly extremely good, and I'm really glad that it did D&D justice, and I thought it was just all well rounded. I should change the episode title of Tavernside and be a D&D movie review. Vox Machina movie.
Or just D&D in the media, because another one, again, what I was saying earlier, I played 16 hours of Baldur's Gate, and let me say, for a game that was like, this is going to be D&D, I was not expecting a bunch out of Baldur's Gate.
Dude,
it translates amazingly. I feel like I like am playing 5e when I'm playing Baldur's Gate. Like, it takes a couple of the mechanics that are like, if you were to translate them into a video game, and then translates them well into a video game. Like,
it frees up a lot of the bogging down of tabletop, or like I wouldn't say bogging down, but some of the tabletop mechanics. It frees that up into a video game format, which is really nice.
I would also say it does a really good job of like visual. Like sometimes you'll read a rule and you're like, I don't quite get it. Then you just see it, like it's just like, oh, it happens like that, in the game.
Yeah.
Like a spell doesn't make sense. Like, oh, this is their interpretation of it, and they consulted Wizards of the Coast before they were all fired.
Rip.
And then they consulted the AIs afterwards.
Yeah, the robots.
Well, after Lawrence Studios.
Actually, they should just hire all the people that Wizards fired, and then boom, I think they're set for life.
Yeah, well, they're releasing the IP back to Wizards for any further Baldur's Gate games after this. The studio that did this one.
Oh,
correct.
Well, that's the beginning and end of that.
I will say before we get more into media review, I will say for me, another thing that kind of is on the same question though is game mechanics. Is there any things that you've seen like Baldur's Gate? I know there was a time when we're playing Star Wars 5e. Charlie, one of the characters, Charlie got down, got back up, and I said like, you have no action, you have half movement. Then I went, wait, what the fuck am I? Where's that coming from? That you, Logan, like Baldur's Gate. That's Baldur's Gate. I'm like, that's right, yeah, because it's not actually in the rules. It's just what it was so instant for me. I'm like, yeah, because I play Baldur's Gate as a fucking meat grinder. My party comp is two-handed sword, two-handed sword, two-handed sword healer.
Nothing wrong with some martial, bro.
That's my entire class is martial users, dude. They're like, do you want a wizard? I'm like, fuck your wizard, bro. I don't need a wizard.
Depending on your romance option. Fuck
dude, literally, just don't even worry about spells in Baldur's Gate, because literally all you're going to do is be sad when your 70% spell attack is going to miss 49 times out of 50, and you're wasting all your spells, you need to short red. Just go melee. That's what I'm learning.
I disagree.
My guy, I literally have the entire wizard spell list and spell scrolls from my playthrough that I have yet to use.
Save it for the last 5 where there's not possibly enough turns to use them all.
What were you going to say about mechanics, though?
I will say, mechanics, so there's one thing I saw, this I didn't borrow from a game, but some creator on YouTube, I saw a brief thing where he added to the boss fights that I really loved, is have something where it's like a telegraphed attack from a boss. Like it's a legendary action that doesn't happen on the boss's turn. It happens on a player's turn. Like someone attacks them, then the boss winds up an attack, and then at the end of the next player's turn, he drops that attack, and it does fucking devastating damage. Just like making it very like depending on the boss, depending on your game, making it very like in that case like almost like an MMO type raid type boss thing where it's just like
that's pretty
massive
cool
damage on this area. So like things like that was like small mechanics like you've seen in games where it either inspired like either new weapons you wanted to add or just new combat concepts you wanted to just kind of throw in. Maybe they were already in 5e, but just you didn't really mess with them till a game or something just kind of ushered you towards
my
it.
players hit level 19 in my home game. And we were all just like, they were like, someone was talking to me, they're like, at this point, like, I'm strong enough and like, I've got like gauntlets of the fire giant, I should be able to hit someone through a building. And I was like, do y'all just want anime physics, like, as a mechanic? And so, truly, we had them. I had a single boss that was huge with like insanely good strength because he was based off a stone giant, but like modified. He's just hitting my players through buildings, and it was one of the most fun sessions we've ever had. Everyone was like laughing and stuff as they're like, "Yep, and there goes our tank through a building."
Yeah,
All
just
what's the plan now,
Yeah.
people? But that's been a fun, like, once your players are high enough level that it really doesn't matter if they get launched 30 feet, they have enough movement to make it back in the turn. Because a lot of the time, like, in combat, especially with, like, big monsters, you find the struggle of your players just gangbang your one single monster and, like, you can't do anything about it. So, I've definitely done that. Cover was something that we talked about here that I was, like, I was watching The Mandalorian at the time. There'd be a lot of points where The Mandalorian would just be like between shots going behind cover and stuff like that. And I was like, it makes sense, especially if players are like playing ranged characters, for them to be able to duck behind cover and just peek their head out and shoot and still have cover afterwards. Like they don't lose the benefit of having cover.
Yeah. That one's always a little tricky to tie in, but I normally, if someone makes a point of like, I want to pop up, shoot, drop back down, yeah, there should be mechanical benefits of choosing to do that. There also should be drawbacks of doing that. For instance, being able to perceive while you're doing that and things like that.
I take movement, like you're using a little bit of movement to get up and get. You're like 5 feet of movement to get up, 5 feet of movement to pop back down. Just cut it. So like I like having like just like simple stuff like that.
I think that opening up combat, well, so just like for mechanics, I'd say a lot of the inspiration I'll get from like just like watching other like channels that like talk about various things that they implement and how they play the game. So how I kind of open it up. But a lot of the times, I mean, I can't remember like necessarily. I mean, I do it pretty consistently, but like when you ask me, I don't remember the times necessarily when I do like see something in like a video game or whatever. But I do just like to think about it realistically. Like what would you do in an actual combat? What could you actually do in real life? Like what would make it more fluid than kind of seeming more of a tabletop game? Because I think that it's really important to have battle maps. I do think it's good to have those like number crunchy kind of things. That way you can have spell distances, you can have certain things. Yeah. But Theater of the Mind's a lot of fun though too, because you kind of have that like active world fluidity of just like, oh, it's your turn, and it's this back and forth. And so that's why I try to like with my mechanics that I introduce, I try to like to blend the two. Like for instance, one of the mechanics we talked about it on stream, like first episode or like actions episode, was adding a reaction where if you're within 5 feet of a creature, you can literally interpose your body in between you and that creature and just take it and tank a hit. And like you're swapping places, so you can either just like tank the hit, and then like the person either swaps places with you, or you can push them back or whatever, stuff like that. One thing I do pretty consistently, just because I like to do it, and I haven't like written anything out for it, is fluidity of movement in terms of attacks. Like if like I do get shot with an arrow, I like to move them back a little bit, like maybe a space. Or if they get hit by a freaking spell, I like to move them away, because you can't tell me you get point blank by a fireball and you're just like standing on the same tile or space that you're totally just like hanging out. You can't tell me you just took 48 points of fire damage and you're just like, yeah, I'm still in the same spot. I'm him. It's like I like to have that kind of those little like unwritten just like movement kind of pieces throughout the combat of like, you know, people shifting and moving and doing different things.
Right. A lot of that I think does like part of it too does tie into what type of game you're doing. Yeah. Like for me, when it comes to like what mechanics I'll add from video games, a lot of that ties to me trying to intentionally lean more towards the battle map side of things because I naturally don't. I really like a theater of the mind. But when you make battle maps and such, and just like I want to add these things to the game that aren't necessarily part of D&D. Like for me, again, a sci-fi campaign, like different types of traps, different weapon emplacements. For me, one thing I like is that early 2000s games always had was like somewhere on a map for no fucking reason there'd be an unintended mounted machine gun. It's just there. Like go ham. When there's battle maps, there's normally one or two around. Normally the enemies start with it, but there's almost always in a situation where if the players were to take it over, they could interact with it, spin it around, use that asset to their advantage. Because Halo can do it. You can just rip that bad boy off and start going, depending on your strength score. Why not?
Yeah.
But also the types of traps, the types of things in the environment, like again, just like basic Halo things like teleporters throwing you around the level and such. My players don't have access to those normally, but the enemies, if you don't do the right things, they're probably going to do that.
I like those a lot too. Deployable shields from Halo, like I've used that as a mechanic a couple times where enemies sort of like set up in an area and you're like forcing players to try and move on that area rather than stay totally still in combat. Arcane was one that I absolutely loved, that show, the League show.
Oh, I watched one episode and I meant to continue, but it's really good.
Dude, it's super good. The hoverboard from it, I've been trying for about a year to get that in our Star Wars campaign because I think just style-wise, from when I watched the Spider-Man with the Goblin glider, like I've loved that design of like you having a glider that you just fly around on, and if you're really good like acrobatically with it, it's really cool. Treasure Planet, the solar surfers.
Oh, bro, my favorite movie, bro.
Dude,
Treasure Planet.
So I've definitely Treasure Planet is another one that I've taken, like the orb. I've used the orb in a couple campaigns and had.
Oh, you know what? I've done something similar too. It was like a orb, but there was like a puzzle, like exterior kind of like almost like cage that they had to solve. So yeah, that was
it works as like plane. I've used as plane shift as a thing. So wherever they set it down, it opened a gate to another like plane. And that's definitely like I love adding technology from other movies and stuff, especially to the battle map or just in general, like mechanics wise. I'm like, this would be like a cool mechanic of just like you said, mounted machine guns, vehicles. There's not a lot of vehicles in D&D, and I love just being like, yeah, man, your carriage is souped out with this random fucking like
arcane launcher.
Carrying it around and finding a good way. Soul crystals were something that I used where people could store like spell slots and use them as machinery. And so if they're like, I'm gonna put a level 3 spell slot in here with like a lightning bolt, I'd let them basically just power something with electricity for a little bit.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
That's kind of.
Honestly, nothing sounds scarier than like the party going on like a river. Like, oh, you have to do a little river ferry, make your way across a little canal to the other side of the harbor, and then you hand one of the players the stats and health of the boat. Like, nothing sounds more fucking frightening.
Yo, dude, yeah.
Go up.
Yeah, yo, hey, there's seatbelts on this boat. Oh, no, I was gonna say something.
Something legendary, good, and thought-provoking.
I don't know. I will say you mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to kind of highlight as well that Pinterest is like I know a lot of people use Pinterest, especially women. They use Pinterest for like fucking everything. But I use Pinterest live for D&D.
A subtle slam. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't feel like a. By the way, thank you.
No, but I use Pinterest for just D&D inspiration, man. Like if I have a concept or an idea that I want, and I'll just type in some keywords into Pinterest and just like see some art, and then I'll kind of just manipulate it and warp it into what I want, or like weapons or whatever it is. Because I think it's kind of it's like you sometimes have the idea, but you just need the visual, or you see the visual and your mind can kind of race off with it. Ironically enough, a lot of times where I get a lot of my names for things or kind of inspirations for locations / people are literally street signs.
Good. I like that.
Dude, just driving around, literally like I see something, I'm like, just kidding, thank you.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, thank you. Thanks for that.
Especially
D&D content.
In Washington, man. There's literally just the wildest streets. Like, what was we were driving up.
I never thought of that. I'm good.
We were driving up to go snowboarding.
Yes,
and we passed Nukesack Creek, I think.
Yeah,
Nukesack Creek is crazy. Nukesack That's wild.
North Fork of Nuke Creek.
Yeah, that was.
That's strong.
So, dude, it's good, man.
It's funny because I laugh at street signs all the time, and I appreciate how wild and goofy they can be. And I've literally never thought it was like, take these fun nouns and throw them into your game. Like, everyone's named Kevin. Damn it, I could have named them Nukes.
Yeah, that's actually we took a city in the name of someone named Kevin that died.
R.I.P.
I'm pretty sure that's happened in American history too.
We had to sacrifice a kobold to
true.
Tiamat, and then we took a city in the name of the kobold we sacrificed to Tiamat. We're like, good shit, man.
In honor of Kevin, as you slit the throats of all the population.
Oh my god.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, I would say other than mechanics, one other thing I really like to do, I'm going to extrapolate this a little bit to explain. I guess you guys tell me if you've done it, and if not, like what your thoughts are on it. I really like looking at the mechanics and like making a world. Like especially when you look at some of the monsters in the monster manual, they're fucking insane. And you look at the population density of it, you can very easily do the low fantasy. There's monsters here and there, but they can't be that many because the economy needs to flow. This monster can't be that big because what's it gonna eat? And I do the opposite. And I throw everything I fucking want at the world, and then I justify it, and I have a lot of fun with it. So, I guess if you guys have done something like that, because I do it all the time, what's a monster, or I guess even a spell or a thing like that in D&D that you feel like you have to do the most explaining because you're including it? Like, one example I'll add, which I think many DMs have had to deal with, the fact that the spell Fabricate exists.
Yeah.
You either ignore the fact that it exists, which is totally valid. That is totally fine. Very understandable. Or blacksmiths are only a thing to a point, because then you just go to a mage who read a textbook, and he's just like, you want a what? There you go. Just undercut the market. You could have like a whole fucking quest line about it, as like all these like gilded craftsmen are getting undercut by these uppity elven mages, and you can do the classic dwarf on elf shit. But
I haven't actually. I'm reading Fabricate right now. Yeah. You literally can just
Fabricate, man.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just made took an owl bear and a shark stat block, and I just made bear sharks. That took a lot of explaining to my players.
He said I just had to do some explaining.
Yeah, it was they're like, why is there a land shark? Because I was doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke at the time, and I had a Garchomp, and he's a land shark. And I was like, man, land sharks would be really fun. So I ganked my players with 3 land sharks, and they were like, why? And I was like, well, the seas in this world are like terribly polluted, so sharks needed to find a way to survive, because they actually were. And so it was based around a city of like a lot of manufacturing, and I was like, it just so happens that the sharks evolved to burrow through the ground. I don't know what you want from me, man.
The dirt was cleaner than the sea.
Sometimes you just have to stop asking questions to the DM, or as a DM you just kind of go, you just have to hit him with the stare of like, what do you like, this is my world, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
There's a point, it depends on the DM. As a DM, I love those questions because it makes me think, and that's more fun. I like off the cuff having to explain why.
No, right. I'm talking about after you've answered like 5 of them, and you're just kind of like, all right, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like
you get 3 whys. The third one's you really are digging at that point. The 4th why you can go.
Yeah, it's
actually why you're taking psychic damage.
Yeah, the 4th one.
Gargantuan creature is hard to explain, like how they haven't noticed it on their when they run into like an entire clan of giants, and I totally forgot to mention giants, like not even thinking about it story-wise, and they're like, how have we not heard about this in any of our travels?
Oh, yeah.
That's my bad.
They're all like giants, obviously.
Yeah, dude,
See, I'm gonna take the L on that one. Yeah, sometimes, I will say, just as a sidebar, sometimes as a DM, you just gotta hold the L. Sometimes you'll literally, you'll add something, or you'll do something, and in your mind, you're like, yes, and then your players are like, actually, what the fuck? And you're like, oh, yeah, actually, what the fuck? And then you have to kind of...
I remember one time we played D&D for literally 12 hours, and we kept going. It was 12 hours, and then we played 16. And I was DMing, and we were going through, you guys just got over a mountain, going down towards the village, and such. You guys were going through this farmland, and you passed a farmer going by you with a full of wheat. And in his explanation, he's like, "Oh, I just bought some property. I'm on my way to check it out. The city's expanding." And then Gray, being the fucking dickhead that he is, with his mental faculties, was like, "Wait, why would he have a wagon full of wheat if he's on his way to a property he just bought? That doesn't make any sense." I'm like, man, of all the things, like I can't be like he's hoping there's a storage shed over there. Like fucking, I got nothing. That's
when literally the items in the cart transform, and this dude's not even the same person. It's literally the entire encounter is just retcon.
If I'm being honest, I think out loud I said that's my bad, and then we just determined the dude was a dumbass, and then that's where we left it.
Sometimes you just go, oh, and then you just keep going because you just whatever. Yeah.
Especially long sessions where like I burnt through all of my prep for the session, and I'm just like.
That's where it gets real dangerous. Is when you're just like connecting threads that are 4 hours ago, and you're like, fuck, here we go again.
They'll ask me a question from the session, like 4 hours ago in the session. I'm flipping through my notes of the session. I'm like, oh yeah, his name was Jimothy.
Yeah. There's a thing that like when you're going through things, you either written down and prepared or mentally prepared. Like you were like it might not be written down, but you knew if they passed this point, they were gonna go left, go right. This might be there, not on paper, but. When you're past that point and everything's just like kind of, and then they ask you for anything that's like in the room, it's like you have to full reset. Like what? Huh? The fuck? You're asking a normal question? The fucking, you have 3 arrows left. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, you guys? That's another good question. Do you guys do ammunition ever with normal arrows?
Yes.
No.
Never
for arrows, I think I do. If I remember, I did something like your quiver holds this much. It kind of regenerates on the long rest. Part of your long rest, in my mind, is fletching.
Like, I just do. You either like spend time getting more arrows, or you just make a note that you spent gold in town buying them. But I'm not making you keep track of every single arrow you fire and then go hunt it, dude. That's
I do.
Up, man.
I do. I ask. I'm like,
how many the ranger even harder, dude.
I'm like, how many arrows you got? How many arrows did you spend? You keep track of your arrows? I'll do that. Yeah. And the reason why I do that is to keep it like. I don't know. For me, I think it's a fine detail that I feel like is important. Maybe I don't know. Like I can't really explain it too in depth, but I just think it's an important detail. So I think once you negate ammunition, then it's just kind of I don't know. I think keeping track of your inventory. I guess in a way, I think keep track of your inventory even through ammunition. I think just sets a good precedent to make sure you're keeping track of all your shit, and that you're not, and that you're kind of emphasizing, hey, because I mean, there's times where players will be like, hey, like they'll use like a health potion or like they have like 2 of them, and then like a couple sessions later, they're like, yeah, I still got 2, and you're like, I definitely remember when you used 1, so like don't be trying to fucking slide that shit. Like make sure you're keeping your stuff up to date, because I think it's like kind of going back to multiple times we mentioned like integrity, right? Like not to just endlessly keep your resources, because the whole point of D&D in some capacity, in some ways, is to balance those resources. That's an aspect of the game.
I would say you either do ammo or don't do ammo. But whatever you do, stick with it.
I do ammo for magical. Like, if you specifically buy magical arrows, I am very, like, make sure you're expending your magical arrows, because that's, like, a very, like, particular resource you're not finding places. Although I do really like the Star Wars 5e character sheets, because it literally has an ammo counter for you.
Yes.
On the bottom of the and I really like that, and I wish, like, honestly, the way that they do the whole weapon sheet would be a nice update to the weapons and equipment for just normal D&D, because there's more space for you to write everything out about your weapon.
No, I think that the Star Wars 5e character sheet literally, like, if it didn't have so many different things tailored to Star Wars 5e, I would use it in fantasy D&D, because I love it so much more. They actually have like little uses boxes that you can click and unclick instead of having to right. It's just so much better. I'm really hoping that when they release this new player's handbook, if they don't overhaul the character, like the official D&D character sheet, I'm gonna actually be upset, because like that's just as ancient as everything else that they've revamped.
Yeah, that's I think definitely having, like, especially because a lot of the time I will use just like extra sheets when I'm making a normal character sheet for my thing, just to be like, okay, I've got this much ammo, and I do boxes, which is really nice about the Star Wars 5e character sheet. And same with like hit dice. It has boxes for the hit dice that you have and like the maximum
Yeah.
that you can have of those. And it's just
Better.
It's a nicer system. It's better.
One thing I will say is the system is so much more involved and complex. I would argue that 5e absolutely needs it. Like, if it was
Star
just
Wars,
a normal
yeah.
D&D character sheet, it would be insane.
Oh,
Like,
for sure. The reason the weapon sheet is so long is because my sabers, literally looking at it, I use the entire thing and more. I have 2 weapon slots for just one weapon because of the upgrade system that you can do with it.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a good time. It's a great time, actually. I thoroughly enjoy that game. Speaking of, I do want to ask you guys a question, and this could either take a long time or it cannot take a long time, but I want to invite you guys. I'm going to ask you guys a question that selfishly I wish more people asked me.
Okay.
I want you guys to tell me about a world you planned in your head and were super excited to make a campaign of and have since abandoned. You just kind of accepted that one wasn't going to happen. It was like an old draft of something and you passed it. Or maybe you're so excited to eventually bring it up.
I got you, man. I got
Tell me
this.
about the worlds you've built and then abandoned, or they're on the back burner, you know?
I had built out a world where the planes of existence were not separate. The entire map, each region of the map was based off a different plane of existence. So there was like a volcano area where everything was burned, torched to ash pretty much, and just like desert wasteland, which was based off of hell. And the further you got in, the different rings of hell were different regions within that region. Shadowfell, since it's supposed to be a mirror of the mortal plane, the entire area, as soon as you got there, cracked and went upwards like magically was all basically reverse gravity in one single part of the world.
Okay.
I was super excited for it because magic was like, it worked very strangely in that world because at one point, all of the dimensions had gotten slammed onto the material plane. And so, like, Celestia, I believe, is the one where all the divine beings are. Heaven, is a floating city in, like, the very central part of the world. And I was so excited to do that world because I messed with the mechanics of magic and D&D a crazy amount. And I'd, like, gone through and I had went through wild magic because that wasn't, like, you weren't able to take wild magic sorcerer as a class because I was just baked into how magic worked in the world.
That's normal here, sir. That's normal.
That's really cool. I like that.
So excited to do that just because like everything was all smashed together and I like gone through and I designed out cool aspects for each region of like the Feywild was covered in an entire forest, like the Lost Woods from Legend of Zelda, where if you went in one wrong direction, it would reset you basically to the beginning. And I was like,
oh, that's
super
so cool.
hyped for that, dude. And I just, it's something I would like to run eventually at some point.
Run it on stream.
Run it on stream.
Run it on stream.
Run it on stream, man.
Run it on stream.
I will say, it does remind me of one thing I wanted to do and never got into it. It's just borrowing a game mechanic is in Total Warhammer. And one of the things that you got to do is you got to go to the different planes of, you know, chaos is what they call it, the different 4 chaos realms. But when you do that, by the way, it's a massive combat game. So you have like 2,000 against 2,000. When you go to those planes of hell, just in those planes of hell, you get a certain kind of cataclysm spell you can use based off that plane of hell. You get some spell that both armies get. That's just like, hey, welcome to the plane of Tzeentch. You want to launch fucking like purple firestorms at a motherfucker? Go for it.
So
What you were just talking about there is like different. Maybe if you're traveling around that world, different planes. It's like, hey, everybody has access to wall of fire. Welcome to hell.
Oh shit, dude! He said everyone. Hey, in hell, everyone's on fire.
Oh, dude, I was so excited for that, man. I built like
never give up.
7 deadly sins roamed the area of hell. There was archangels that roamed in the area of like Celestia, and there's just a bunch of like any like major deities or forces were around, man.
Don't worry, you can still do it.
Absolutely wrote it on stream.
That's the point of this. Everything we're talking about, you know, we're talking about abandoned projects, but they never truly are in D&D.
I would say. Oh, well, I was just, I don't want to get into it too much because I have high hopes I will get to it. But the party, my plan for my plan is hold on, getting ahead of myself. So it was the game that we started when I was on leave in between me moving from Alaska to Texas, And it was with you had the bard and whatnot, and then like Evan jumped in and my dad jumped in. Like we were all playing.
There's like a purple star and such.
Yeah, there's a purple star. That is something that I still really want to do. I have a lot of cool ideas for it. I kind of want to spoil it a little bit. I don't know.
For mine, what I want to say, I think we have similar vibes. I'll spoil what I want to do for mine because no one's started, no one's played it yet. But I'm really excited for this. For this one thing I want to do is I wanted to make one. I'm really fascinated because I've only ever done the campaign where there's meet in a bar, you meet on the road, you're part of the same job, but you're like, you meet this band of strangers. That's a lot of fun, and that's D&D. Don't knock it. But I really want to do was like, hey, you guys are all coming of age. You all grew up together. You all kind of know each other. Maybe you didn't like this guy or that guy. You all grew up in a small community, and you go around traveling together. Knox is fighting the camera. Get it?
Oh. I think he's getting snagged.
That's okay.
There's a camera right there.
Oh shoot!
But no, I just like the idea of just having this world with all this group of adventurers, just kind of were born into being adventurers and traveling together, in a very small region. Like there's like 2 cities and a bunch of stuff happening. And throughout the story, they realize that they actually have been existing in a demi-plane, and that's where they all grew up and have to find a way to break out. That was always my dream little campaign there.
Wait, hold on. You said you had like coming of age individuals, and they had to do what?
Yeah, essentially there's like 2 cities in a region. There's like a mountain to the north and seas to the south, and you can never go that far south. You can never get that far north or east or west. And throughout the adventure of everything to do, they start uncovering a conspiracy and realizing their whole area they've ever lived in and generations have lived in is just a demi-plane they've been stuck in.
Oh, that's really cool. That's
fucking sick, man.
Hey, also Scotty, welcome in. Welcome in, Scotty.
Welcome in, Scotty.
We got one of our mods in here. We love our mods. Yep. Thanks for being here. No, that sounds really cool. And I will say though, the majority of the ideas that I've had one of the other ones that I had for a long time locked away, I actually was able to do finally. It was the Great Blade Inquisition. That one I had locked away because me and Todd were always going back and forth like, dude, we should do like a D&D Warhammer 40K hybrid. And then we were talking about like, oh, the Inquisition. You go to Shadowfell, or now it's Shadefall as I've homebrewed it. But you go to this other plane that's just like super ominous and dark, and you're just going there and you're either killing shit or you're retrieving shit. And so then I made it and we did it. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So
I will say a lot of my campaign ideas that I have, like the Lord of Songs campaign, we briefly did it for a little bit, even the campaign just described. There's a lot of small ideas for that I think we as DMs all kind of do, where it's like, I like that idea, I like that theme, fuck, I really wanted that enemy in there, I want this enemy type, and all of them all end up in the campaign I'm currently running.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're all stacked up in their own way.
Oh, yeah, Blood Demon Arts. I totally forgot. Like way back, we were talking about things you pulled from media. Blood Demon Arts from Demon Slayer gave them to vampires. Man, that has been a real fun nightmare for people to run into.
I don't know. I have not seen Demon Slayer.
Basically, they have each of them has something very specific they can do with their blood. One of them has corrupted poison blood, and he can send out, like, as he slashes his sword, he can send out a cleave of his blood that, like, tracks down someone and poisons them if it hits them.
Nice.
Or light their blood on fire and stuff like that. And I was like, vampires would be a great thing.
That's actually
that they
sick.
Don't really need their blood. So I did that. My players stepped into Shadowfell and immediately they're like, no. We're okay.
They see a guy cutting himself and going, "You're fucked." It's like, oh yeah, he's right. He's probably right. Let's fucking.
Dude,
you know
what we should do? We should I know adding shit to the list is always super fun because we have busy lives, but we should actually make our own D&D book and sell that shit because there's so many content creators do that, man. And I would love to be able to come together and just make. Usually they have themes generally when they do that, but sometimes they don't. And so I think it'd be cool if we just literally
We can do Bastions.
no, shut up.
No.
Bastions and monks, baby.
No, those are gonna be the 2 things left out of our book. No, but I think it'd be cool if we had all of our notes collected and organized and whatnot. Because that'd make it real nice to just be able to draw from from stuff like that. Because that'd be Bro, that's sick, man. Blood demon art for vampires, bro. That just makes things interesting.
It's a very, because I was like looking through vampires, and it's fun to do a vampire lord, but if like I like having vampires in more areas than one, and then fighting the same monster over and over again didn't seem super fun to me. Like, don't get me wrong, I gave someone a spear and called it Vlad's Impaler, and like that was, you know, a cool mechanic too, but also like I like having a very, like, they had one specific mechanic that was stuck to them each, and it made for a bunch of fun fights. So yeah, I've definitely, dude, I also I love mechanic based fights like we talked about last time, and I've definitely taken a lot of like things from media into my mechanic based fights.
Yeah, I think really, especially when you get really heavy, as I said, kind of like a MOBA or RPG type of fight like that, or CRPG I should say. Like, especially like, dude, if you give your boss a devastating attack that then becomes a pattern, that first hit, fucking scary. That second hit, oh wait, that third time around, the players can now avoid it. You know, like the boss doesn't always have to fucking dish dick. The boss sometimes can, like, just fucking bam, gotcha. And then like the players start adapting to it. They just know, like, hey, you really need to stay out of, like, you know, again, another question that's coming up, which I'll kind of even just bring up now, is just like intelligence scores with enemies and like how to utilize that. Like, especially vampire lords, they're smart as shit.
Yeah,
they know what a choke point is, and they know what home court advantage is, and they're gonna wait on the long side of a hallway with a fucking pike and just fucking drive it down south when the paladin comes around. You know, just like sneak attack on him. You know, depending on what stats you're giving him. But yeah,
I love intelligent dragons.
Let them flank. Oh, dragons, of course.
They're one of the most intelligent creatures in D&D, and a lot of time people are like, they come down, they beat on you with their claws, and occasionally they use their breath attack. I'm like, no, my dragon's 120 feet in the air the entire time, and he swoops down, drive-bys your ass, and then it's gonna get out of range. You gotta figure out a way to get his ass out of the sky. He's not... But whole field advantages up here for him, man.
Grapples. Everybody's got a plan until the dragon grapples.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's when it comes to intelligence scores or just intelligence of creatures in general, I think that's the hardest thing as a DM for me, is to apply it in a way that is realistic, because sometimes that means clapping the cheeks of your players or like doing something that's kind of just like mega fucked up.
I feel like
I literally had it was actually going back to when we first started this whole conversation with the individual that they had to come back to, and they had to end up killing him and had to like use his portal or whatever. He was the lord of this of a city, but he had a steward that was a sorcerer, and he cast Wall of Fire. And I was like trying to like map it out, and I was like, and you know, because as a DM, it's the duality of it. It's like, okay, well, you know, what could I do to make it like balance? But then it's also like, what would he do? He's going to do like the most optimized thing. He's not just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna create a wall and it kind of hurts you and it's kind of inconvenient. No, he's gonna fuck your shit up because that's what he's there to do. And so that's the hard thing I feel like sometimes with DMs, and that's why I think sometimes it's hard to choose or to make up, like, because I think about that sometimes. Like, I don't use a lot of dragons necessarily in terms of encounters, because I think that sometimes when you choose a creature, like, you have to kind of get in that headspace. It's not like, oh, I want to choose a dragon because I want to use a dragon. It's like, well, if I choose a dragon, he's not going to be a dumbass. So like, this is going to be a very difficult fight. So I gotta take a little bit more caution when I throw things at the party in terms of when and how. Not to say that you should always give the party, you know, some sort of leniency, but you just got to kind of be careful with certain things. You don't want to TPK your party because then the story ends. I mean, you know, obviously depending on circumstances, that might be, you know, on the line, but
might be an appropriate way for the party to end on
right. But
not only that, but like bullywugs. I used bullywugs one time. They're fucking stupid, man, and that was a great encounter to have done.
Hell yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're gonna go fight the barbarian for sure, man. We're gonna go throw hands with him. We can win this encounter. And I love the duality of having like really stupid enemies and making really dumb plays, and have my players look at me like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, yeah, this enemy is dumb. I'm gonna play this enemy like I'm dumb and I don't really know what's going on. They're gonna see the closest thing to them and they're gonna swing on it.
Yes.
Versus like demons that can teleport. I have my demons teleport behind, shiv their cleric in the kidney, and then just disappear again.
Right. Well, I think that's an important piece too. Is low intelligence enemies, and especially, well, actually, I would say homebrewing creatures. Be careful when it comes to their stats, because I feel like a lot of times people really like to, like, especially if they're making a homebrew, people love to buff the stats of creatures. It's like, I think, like, depending on certain things, if you're making a creature with, like, hey, this creature's supposed to be super strong. This creature's supposed to be super strong, so obviously buff that stat. But also think about it, like, logically. Like, that's why, like, I'll tank. Like, I'll usually reference other similar type creatures. Like, if I'm making a beast or making a creature like a bug or an insect or something along those lines, I'll go look at what maybe the monsters manual has them their intelligence score or wisdom score statted at, and then kind of get a ballpark as to that. Because I think a lot of times people really want to be like, oh yeah, it's my homebrew monster, so it has to be at least decent at everything. It's like, no man, tank that intelligence, make that shit dumb as hell, like because that would make sense. And I think that it's important to, and just like you guys saw on the Frost Trail, like the Remoraz, if they're like getting their shit kicked in, they're bugs. They're not gonna just be like, I'm fighting to the end. They're gonna be like, I value my life, like I value myself, like I'm a creature. I'm either eating or I'm like living, so like I'm not gonna kill myself in this instance.
We're treating creatures too. I think that's super important, that sometimes your creatures aren't gonna stay in fight. So like I have a lot of humanoids that don't stay in fight till the very end because they're watching the paladin over there just smite Jimothy into next week, and they're just like, honestly, we don't get paid enough to rob you anymore, and like the thieves just run off because they're trying to rob you, but it's not worth, like, whatever gold you have on you is not worth their life, man. They probably got a family at home, dude. They're getting out of there, man.
Gotta split it less ways before people are dropping, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you can really Heath Ledger Joker this shit.
I guess, but like, I would like life.
No, but yeah,
I choose life.
If I see, like I said, one of my multi-class revolvers get a monk rogue teleport out of nowhere, literally take out my best friend eyeball in a mid flyby, I'm not gonna stay. I'm gonna be like, yep, fuck that. He just came out of nowhere. His eye is gone.
It's like,
oh,
he was right. He was right. I'm gone. Whatever his stance is, I'm on board with, and
I surrender.
Sorry.
And I'll do that all the time. I'll have like, if my players absolutely destroy an encounter and there's still a good amount of people left, sure, I can deal a little more damage to them and take some of their resources. But the creatures are intelligent enough. Like, if they have like average intelligence, they're going to be smart enough to know this isn't a fight we're going to win. Let's surrender and like hope that they like leave us be. Like, not even just running, but literally just being like, look, there's no reason for us to fight you anymore. Like, we're sorry. But if the creature's dumb, I've got some like, I've had some really dumb things. They don't understand retreat, man. Their goal is what they've like set their mind on, and I know they know they're dying. I know they're dying.
We all know they're dying. The players know they're dying.
Everybody knows they're dying. But sometimes when you surrender, the party gets a new chef.
Oh yeah, hold on.
One thing I will say, as far as intelligent enemies, like being like super, like there's a point where you're running an intelligent enemy in the way that it's gonna be tactical. Like as far as like placement, it's gonna be tactical. As far as like it's not gonna like fall for obvious traps. There's also the level of like intelligence when you as a DM look at your party and realize they're well-oiled machine, they understand party comp, they understand their abilities well, and so you're gonna hit them with it. A great example of it, which I only know from Vox Machina season 2, but apparently there's a thing in the game, is when the dragon turns invisible and starts breath weaponing everybody without losing invisibility. That's because technically its breath weapon wasn't an attack, and mechanically the dragon did not have to drop invisibility to start blasting them with breath weapons. You just see it where it's coming from, but it didn't lose invisibility because it's a mechanic in the game. If your players are if your players are at that same level, or they're able to get away with some of that stuff, a really smart enemy would know to do that, especially when it comes to magic and being familiar with all those types of things, or whatever your type of game is. You don't just do that to be like, ha ha, gotcha. You do that to be like, oh, this guy fucking knows what's up, and it's a threat for the players to overcome. It's not just like, I got the thing you didn't expect, and now you're all dead.
Right. The more rewarding your party for them showing you that they have the intelligence to like I don't feel like I have to be making dumb moves.
Reward them with more pain.
Yeah, well, just being like, this is like strategically you have to be good about this fight, and I'm doing this because I know you guys are strategically good, and so I want the encounters to still be interesting. Not like don't murder your players just because they're doing insanely well, but like, you know, have
Do
something
it.
that makes them think.
Maybe.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I think that's a good point, and I would like to say the and how you use your monsters is also a very important thing in terms of calculating CR. It's like the challenge rating of an encounter. I think how intelligence or how dumb or how much you're gonna lean into those things does affect it, right? Because you can have a powerful monster that's dumb as shit, you know, and then you know, and then get outplayed, and it's no longer a CR12. It just gets clapped. It's like, you know, the way that the encounter went through, it was not on that power scale. You know, I think that's where action economy comes into play too. There's a lot of different variables. It's not always about, oh, this creature has this thing, I mean, so that's super tough. It's like if you wanna expand your encounters, I think really getting into the headspace and really thinking about tactics. And I think tactics is a broad term that encompasses everything. Tactics, stupid tactics, or well thought out tactics. It's all the same thing. So just think of how that's gonna transpire.
And also keep in mind, like, your encounter could have 30 fucking enemies in it, and oh my god, but like the terrain's all affected, and most of them are melee enemies, and like the party could like make it piecemeal and make it very easy. Which arguably maybe smarter enemies are the ones that are like kind of coming and like spreading out, looking for clues, getting ambushed. Maybe dumb enemies are more dangerous because they hear a noise and all of them run at once. You know, and if you don't have a fireball ready, you're getting run up on by a shit ton of goblins. So also keep in mind numbers and how you're using them is a huge deal.
Yeah.
If you give everybody a bow and it does as much damage as a short sword, they are still more dangerous than if they had a short sword.
Absolutely.
Just
also,
because,
like small things like pack tactics. A couple things, not just
crazy.
Wolves,
Yeah.
That's not smart.
a couple
Wolves.
things have pack tactics. Keep in mind that they have pack tactics, because having 4 wolves with pack tactics versus having like 2 dire wolves, the 4 wolves are significantly more threatening than the 2 dire wolves. Like, just knowing everything about your monster before you're going in, while you're reading it, like read your monsters beforehand too, because I know a lot of the times when like I've been helping my friends set up for like DMing when they haven't ever DM'd before, they'll be like, man, that monster looks really cool, and they haven't read through the entire thing. And then suddenly they're like, oh yeah, trolls can't die unless you light them on fire or do acid damage to them, because they regenerate 10 HP every turn, even if decapitated.
Yeah.
Fun fact, if you didn't know that about trolls,
might be a good thing to know before you start throwing 7 of them at your party. Yeah,
exactly. And so like, you have to like know about that. That was something I didn't know, because I'd never used trolls as a DM, but I just happened to be torching one with firebolt, and my DM's like, damn, dude. And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, trolls don't regenerate when you do fire to them after the encounter. And I was like, that's crazy, which I would have never known. But I also like, I've known DMs to grab a monster, put it in, realize afterwards that, yeah, this is a CR3, but also this CR3 is going to absolutely destroy your party because you haven't thought about the mechanics.
Rust monsters.
Fuck rust monsters, bro. They're fucking literally the worst.
Fuck the rust monster.
Hey, yo, wait a minute. Hold on.
Hey. Hell yeah. No, I think intelligence is like I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like it is a stat, just like every other stat. It's influencing saving throws. It's influencing a lot of like the abilities of a creature. But more than anything, it's like, oh yeah, what is this creature going to be doing? That's kind of the big thing there with its tactics.
Yeah.
And I don't pay attention to it as often.
I would say, because I feel that's actually a good point that you bring up, because I feel like a lot of, as a player, each stat so important. You know, strength, like you're making it come to life with your character. Do the same for your creatures. I feel like, you know, if a creature has 24 strength, you know, make that apparent. If a creature has 6 wisdom, make that apparent. If a creature has 1 charisma, you know, whatever it is, make those stats kind of come to life. You don't have to be crazy, because obviously if you're running 74 monsters, you know, it can be kind of difficult, but at least have a broad understanding, a general understanding of what that's going to kind of translate to. Because I will also, one question I had, because we bring this up and then we're about out of town, but how often do you guys add like additional things in terms of like skills, saving throws, vulnerabilities, resistances? Is that like a common thing, or do you guys do that maybe just for bosses? Like, what is your kind of what is the how frequently you guys do that?
Depends on if I want to use a weaker monster that I know is weaker but is a fun like encounterized monster, I will add more HP and more resistances to it, and not like I'll leave the damage totally the same, but I'll make them live longer so that they still feel threatening. But like,
do you do skills
overall,
though? Like, do you give monsters like strength proficiency, or do you or sorry, athletics proficiency? Do you do like skills and saving throws?
I don't often do saving throws. I don't often give them extra skills if I'm like bumping a monster up, because usually the only time I modify monsters is if I'm like, oh dude, that thing looks like really sick. Like I would love to use a Vine Blight, but my party's level 5, and so like I don't want to use a Vine Blight because they're not super strong. Then I'd like amp some of their stats to be like, they're resistant to slashing damage because they're just like a different breed of Vine Blight or something like that.
Okay.
But then like I also do whatever, like I'll just take a random saving throw too that they have something that's decent in, and I'll bump that saving throw, and then usually I just pick a resistance that makes the most sense for it. If there's no resistance specifically that makes the most sense for it, then I'll roll on a random resist table, and I'll be like, yeah, man, for some reason, this SWAT is now resistant to psychic damage.
Hell yeah.
I can understand that.
The chosen one. What about you, Connor?
For me, almost every monster I use, sometimes the mobs, sometimes, but anything that's pretty much, if there's only going to be 3 things on the board, all of them I will find and add a vulnerability. Only because I really like there being a reward for using a certain type of damage. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but more often than not, I really like adding a vulnerability.
And we talked about this with the Red Mire specifically,
yeah.
too, a lot of that stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But part of it is because I'm a dick. Part of it is because every encounter I've ever done is lethal.
Yeah, you bastard. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So, but we lived, so.
Well, you live, but it's also kind of talking about tactics. I go for... Everything on paper is lethal, but everything in play is drama. Is kind of how I go for it.
Okay.
You know, like if everything just waited, popped up at once, beat the shit out of you, you're all gonna die. But said this is coming here, this is kind of creeping through here, this was coming through the trees, and that's all this is happening. I will normally do vulnerability, a resistance if it makes sense. Aside from that, I am very susceptible to adding some ability somewhere that will either modify the HP or the AC. Because of the 2 easiest numbers to change.
Yeah.
But I like it to be, if there's something that could be like modular. Like perhaps like maybe the vulnerability, instead of it being the mechanical vulnerability, double damage, might be like, oh, if you one time do this one type of damage to it, for 1, it's not resistant. For 2, it might drop that AC back to its normal now. You know, something like that. I like that idea of like, when you're doing boss fights and chunks of armor are coming off, like in games, that's super fun.
Fluctuating stats, yeah.
I love doing that. Knocking off armor is one of my favorites. Or even like, I've had enemies that drop their armor and they get faster, but they lose a good chunk of their AC because they're no longer wearing heavy armor, so they're like not going to be as slow anymore. But their AC significantly dips.
I briefly toyed with the idea and eventually scrapped it because things were going to be complicated in the Red Mire. But the things that ended up being the wood golems that you were fighting, because, you know, I made it so this really large arm and really short arm. Originally, it was going to have 2 arms. At half health, one of the arms, I would have made it quite dramatic. One of the arms came off. Then it was going to grab that arm, and it was going to have 1 attack, but it was going to have reach. And it was going to beat your ass with its other arm.
That would have been really cool.
That would have been kind of sick, though. Wait. He said, yo, meet my friend. Now I'm going to beat your ass with my friend.
I'll beat your ass with my shoulder.
I am actually.
But instead, I just gave it a big ass arm and killed Cyrus.
Hell yeah! Just the God, dude. It just came back, bro. The body cam footage just came back. The silent body cam footage. Yeah. No, I'm actually kind of surprised that you guys don't, because I feel like generally health, HP, and I would probably say vulnerabilities, resistances are highly altered or added or subtracted. But I'm surprised that you guys don't actually add as many skills or saving throws, because I'll generally add a skill or 2 or a saving throw or 2 to most monsters that I make. And generally, I'm just thinking about it in terms of like, okay, if this was a player or if this is like a, you know, whatever, if they have high strength, they're probably going to be proficient in athletics because they're literally so strong or they're so quick or, you know, acrobatics, etc. Fill in the blanks. Though I will say, gotta be careful, because if you do that all the time where you're thinking like always about like, okay, where can I add this, what, you know, where can I, like, what are they super good at, that sometimes you can over add skills and saving throws, and you overdo it to where now every creature has like 5 or 6 skills, and you just gotta be like, okay, fine line. Because I feel like just because an insect is super fast doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be like proficient in a skill, or whatever. Certain creatures aren't going to necessarily have that mastery.
Is not going to have acrobatics
exactly
as a skill is proficient in.
Right, yeah. The mastery of an actual like skill like that is a little bit. I usually will do skills and stuff like that generally for my my humanoid, humanoid kind of creatures.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And part of it for me too is I'll add it in there even if it never comes up. Like I'll give it, like if I have like for instance I'm making up some homebrew kind of current humanoid kind of creatures for an upcoming arc, and though it may never come up, I'm still like kind of going through and being like, okay, what would these creatures have? What would their proficiency be? Like does it matter if a villain has a +6 in Arcana? Fucking no. But I think it's kind of a cool thing to kind of fully build out, so that way in the back of your mind, if it ever comes up, you're prepared. But also it kind of fleshes them out in a understanding that you can kind of have for that creature, going back to kind of tactics, like what would they do? And it's like, yeah, okay, Arcana, them having a proficiency in that skill is kind of irrelevant, but maybe you can tie that into how they react, talk, perform in combat, or whatever it is. So
I would say going that far into it is definitely something I do with bosses.
Yes, bosses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Bosses, I fully like. I have the final boss for my very long-running campaign. It's 6 pages long.
That's right.
It's 6 pages long.
What? Hey, next Tavernside Talks, we're going through Logan's final boss. Oh shit.
And literally, the creation of that took me the same amount of time that it took me to prep a session.
Yeah.
Of like actual notes. Yeah. Like I was going through and I was like, because I was going back through and reading a bunch of stuff. I think when it comes to creating custom monsters too, take into like account feats that your party's done in the past and stuff like that. Like not just things that they do now, but like I was creating the monster based around things that they did like way earlier in the campaign, so that it could be something like Dark Souls 3, the very last boss in the game, his first phase is just builds that players did in different games. He picks a random build from different player builds in games, and like I thought that was a cool mechanic, so I found a bunch of feats my players did, and so like the boss is gonna do some crazy thing they did in session 3 of that campaign 4 years ago.
Keep in mind this boss is also level 20, so
it's
level 30.
Actually,
I guess level 20 party. Level 20 party is what they're facing.
It's a tier 32 monster.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. I mean, 6 pages for Boblin the Goblin is a strong, start to your game.
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I really like the idea of, because movies and games do it a lot, where it's like, here's an enemy that mirrors the player's ability. There's no reason why bosses can't do that more often. I will say, when we are talking about modifying monsters, a lot of it for me is I have to modify monsters very heavily. Star Wars 5e has a lot of monsters that are from literally Star Wars, and I'm not playing Star Wars. I'm using the system, making my own thing. So almost everything I take, I have to modify. But one of my favorite things to do, making my enemies that are on my wish list, I wish my party would fucking try me.
Yo, step up, bitch.
That's right. Just like making characters. Just like, I want to make a version of you. I'm not making your build, but I'm making something like, you're good at this. I want to make somebody who's good at this in a different way. So that's just a fun experiment, even if you don't bring it.
The Echo Knight of the party.
Yeah, you can do that shit. But like, it's also fun, like, doing that, you get a little bit more mechanical familiarity with your players. They're kind of like reverse engineering what makes them tick, even in a way that maybe the player doesn't realize. So then you can beat their ass more thoroughly.
Hell yeah.
Inquisitors, man.
The Inquisition.
Inquisitors, dude.
Well, hell yeah.
I've taken every opportunity possible. Anytime that I feel anyone somewhat like my character, I'm like, no. And
I'm like, I'm either giving you the biggest red herring on earth, or I'm giving you a direct warning.
Yeah,
it's one of the two.
He said, actually, oh hell yeah. Oh. Hype, bro. Hell yeah. Well, I
Full of
think
dice right now, but
Hey,
yeah, baby.
any last minute thoughts, any last minute things before we wrap this up
The
here?
frog is it, man. My camera immediately fixes itself when
It
I
does,
put the
Dude,
frog
that's,
on,
that's because that's where your camera's fucking focusing, brother. The wall.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much that was a good time
Yeah.
just talking about random bullshit.
Yeah, that was
we do
awesome.
at the
That
end,
was the
man.
fun of it,
That was,
just
that was solid. Yeah.
I like that.
potluck of questions. I mean, part of it that makes it easy is we all love the.
Yeah.
No, it's also fun kind of picking your guys' brain about certain things. Because also part of it, again, as I mentioned, selfishly, like, tell me about your guys' campaigns you guys never did, because I want to talk about mine.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, actually, I want to answer this question. Let me go and sit silently while you guys go ahead and answer, and then my turn.
Yeah.
Yo, I
Yeah.
just said that, and I was ready, man.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I got you with one.
There you
Bro,
go.
I don't. Oh man, I want to spoil the one that I want to do, but I really want to keep. I want to do it. And so I
get
can't.
that. You're
can't.
hoarding it. You got it locked
And the
down.
reason why I
get
can't
it.
though too is because like all my arcs are in a continual world, so like I can't just be like, by the way, this is something, you know, because if it was like in a subsection or far off, I could be like, oh, I allude to it, but it's like a major continental like calamity event that's gonna transpire, so it's kind of like can't really throw that out there and then be like, hey guys, just forget, all right, because you know, kind of draws away from the mystery and the excitement for whenever it comes up.
Yeah. My only other world that I never got to bring up is just like I was gonna eventually just do an actual dragon involved game. I never really did one. I never did a game that really involved a lot of dragons.
I know,
I was gonna
right?
Do that.
We had dungeons, we didn't have dragons though.
No.
2 types of fantasy world. 1, where dragons are just everywhere. 2, there were dragons at one point in time.
And Skyrim's always both of those.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're also remaking Skyrim this year. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Again?
No, I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just-
fully believe it.
I mean, dude, they're never making Elder Scrolls 6, so I'm just gonna, I guess, wait till Elder Scrolls 5 comes out for the Xbox 420, Xbox Series 4X20. Blaze it.
Yeah, but
Cool. Well, honestly, Connor, thanks for hosting, man. That was good. Those are good questions. I like that. That was sick.
I'm here to help.
Yes,
Ish.
sir. Yes, sir. That was good. But honestly, hey, schedule at least next week. We good for one more next week? Be the next. I have one
Yes.
more week next week, and then I go off to the lands beyond
Yeah.
for a while. So if we can fit one more in, then that'd be sick. But I
Going
guess,
to the undying lands of Legolas.
yeah, frozen, dude. Hey, I already know people. Other people know in the chat probably like, oh, what's the one? I wanted to say, what's the one thing you draw from for like D&D inspiration? Legolas, Aragorn, bro, please, bro. Character, Ranger, bro, please. I already know.
No, I keep having thoughts that I need to just stop because we're going to talk for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out. Scotty, always good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in here, just chilling with us. Always a good time. But yeah, just go and check the Twitch schedule because that is where all of our stuff generally is up to date. I try my best to keep it up to date. Yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evenings, and we will catch you later. Oh, I didn't have my mouse ready.